Now, the following video is, sometimes you got to be reminded of how bad things can get. And yes, I'm talking about Venezuela again because of what that country has now turned into. Believe me, it's much worse than we all think. Why? Because we're not really hearing about it. We kind of hear these things. We know some things are happening, and there's been some fighting with people against the police, and some people have died, and they're starving. But do we have any boots on the ground? Not really, Well, we kind of do now. Silver Doctors has and this came from Daisy Luther, the Organic Prepper site, the organicprepper.ca, Canada, obviously a Canadian site. Good. But again, this is something you have to, well, that can't happen here. Why can't it happen here? Tell me why it cannot happen here. Venezuela wasn't just some third world country. At some point it seemed like all countries were third world countries. Venezuela was not, in recent history, very recent times, a third world country. It has, allegedly, they say, that's what the whole world's history book tells us, they have the most, largest known oil reserves in the world. Whoa, even better than Saudi Arabia, that's what they say. And I don't mean they as Venezuela, that's the consensus. So, how could they be suffering right now? You could undercut the whole world's oil market. Whatever the spot price is, we're going to sell it to everyone for $3 cheaper a barrel. You'd be fine. Nope, not able to handle that. Because you got, again, dictators, socialist people running things there, etc. And they don't happen to be the world's reserve currency. Because if they were, then maybe they'd be okay, like us. So what happens to us when our currency is no longer the world's reserve currency? Just as something to think about, which is why, in that scenario, I want to talk about, well, could we end it down this path? We very well could. You see the massive political turmoil. The left, the liberal left, are out of control. In every single thing, every allegation Donald Trump has said, by the way, the man needs credit. He doesn't need discredit. He's been right about. The most absurd things he's tweeted, they did this, they spied, they did that, he did. Oh my God, he's been proven right. Just let former director of FBI Comey speak. And boy, did he speak. But this kind of article is what really makes me tell myself, Jason, you know this stuff, man. And I know you want to live a little bit outside the city. But after reading this, it kind of makes you say, I think I want to live a lot of bit outside the city, not a little bit. And I'll go ahead and take that long trek to work every day, knowing this kind of stuff could happen. And if it does, I'd rather be out in the country. Because again, if I go out and get ready to buy a house in the next year, 2 years, whatever it ends up being, oh, fire sale, the market's crashing again, great, where are we going to go? Oh, we could live a little closer to home. There's some nice houses over there. But if we make that decision, we're pretty much stuck there. That's where we're going to be. Where's it going to be? So, a little bit outside the country, out in the country, or a lot of it outside in the country, further away from the cities. I'm going to read this to you. This is a first-hand account of a woman. And I hear this stuff, and I always felt like, man, I wonder if I could reach out to them. Poor woman and her 1-year-old child. Evelyn, you want to take in a refugee? 'Cause you don't have to live like a refugee. Don't have to live like a refugee. Take in a Venezuelan refugee. Well, get the Syrians. I'll get some free, get the Syrian, all the supposed women and children, the one that are all fighting age men. No thanks. I'd rather take a South American who I know is not going to potentially kill us in the middle of the night, or, that old chestnut. But, it makes me think, well, if I could just, reach out somehow and just come live with it. Take your 1-year-old baby. Come here. So you don't have to live like a refugee. Yeah, you don't. But, seriously, this is sad. This is very sad. But here it goes. Ready? If you ever wondered what life was really like in a post-collapse society, look no further than Venezuela. Today, we'd like to share a first-hand report of everyday survival there from Daisy Luther at the Organic Prepper website. The country has been, and when I start reading you their quotes, it's the woman trying to do her best to write and speak in English, you know what I mean? So you're going to hear the way it comes out as if I'm a Spanish person who can't speak good English because I'm going to read it word for word. The country has been on the way down since a socialist government destroyed the economy, starting with Chavez, right? Chavez, now we got Maduro. And here is a quick timeline. Private ownership of guns was banned in 2012. Then things began to go downhill in a hurry. In 2013, all right, so let's hold on. What happened first? They were allowed to have guns? Yes, they were. It was legal? Yes, they were. But private ownership of guns was banned mysteriously in 2012. Well, 2012, things were not where they are like they are now in Venezuela. Matter of fact, they were not too bad at all. They were pretty good. Why would they ban the guns all of a sudden? Because as I always tell you, always, the government makes decisions well in advance when they know what's going to be coming and the result that's going to stem from what's coming, which is people wanting to kill some of them, overthrow some of them, and fix their country. And again, and murder some of them for the things that they've done. We got to take care of that way in advance. 2012, gun ownership is banned. Things then began to go downhill in a hurry. 2013, just a year year later, preppers. Like I'm trying to tell you what I'm thinking of, going out to the country, being a prepper. Not a crazy prepper, just, extra food, just extra stuff, nothing major. But then again, preppers, 2013, were relabeled as hoarders. Now, I thought Hoarders was a TV show of people who can't even walk in their house and there's 14 dead cats piled under trash bags of garbage and the lady is telling you why you can't touch it, it's valuable and it's mine. I thought that was a hoarder. No. Preppers in 2013 in Venezuela were relabeled hoarders, and the act of stocking up became illegal. 2014, the government instituted a fingerprint registry for those who wish to buy food to ensure they didn't take more than their share, their fair share. In 2015, things began to devolve more quickly as electricity began to be rationed and farmers were forced to turn over their harvest directly to the government. Now, I want to stop for a second. If you saw my last video, in the beginning of the Webbot stuff, I talked about some old John Teeter, the time traveler stuff. In his story, he talked about the same thing happening in America, and he said there's only so far you can push a farmer before he decides to turn back and shoot at you. Same thing happened here. Again, if this time travel story ever happened in some world line or not. Sure is freaky, I'll tell you that much. 2016 brought the announcement that folks were on their own. There was simply not enough food. As well, despite the rationing, an electricity shortage was announced. Also, 2016 brought the news that the country was out of everything. Food, medicine, and nearly all basic necessities. People were dying of starvation, and malnourishment made other illnesses even worse. Hyperinflation brought exorbitant prices. For example, like $150 for a dozen Venezuelan bolivars, dollars, for a dozen eggs. Now, civil war is near, if not already happening. They're calling it protests. But violence between the people and the government is ongoing. This rage is stoked by wealthy Venezuelans who enjoy luxurious meals, fabulous parties, and lush accommodations, while the rest of the country struggles to find a bag of rice they can afford. Let them eat cake? So it appears there is no end in sight to the tribulations of the Venezuelans. And there's a little section towards the end here about, religious type of thing. And I'm going to have to get on religion. Just a little bit. And you might not like it. But it has to be said. It'll be short and sweet. But I know people get upset and angry. I'm going to just unsubscribe from you. Every time prayers. Stop. Shut your mouth and just listen. So what is the day-to-day life like for the average Venezuelan? A reader from Venezuela took the time to comment and tell us what life is really like there. You can find her story below. I've edited for spacing to make them easier to read, but please keep in mind that English is their second language. Daisy, thank you so much for this content. I'm a Venezuelan mom of a 1-year-old baby, and we are living a war here. You can't go outside to buy food or supplies or medication because each activity is a high risk and more with a baby. So I stay home as much as I can. There are a lot of people outside trying to live normally, trying to go to work and buy foods and continue their lives. But when you are working or whatever thing you're doing, you don't know is you will be able to come back home safe. People continues to work to get whatever miserable pay to buy some food. Everything is so expensive. Perhaps the beans and rice are affordable, but still not cheap, and is so hard to find food. Options are limited because of the price. You can only buy one item or two of pasta. I told you, I gotta stop for a second. I've been following Venezuela since the beginning of this crisis. I've been doing the videos. And at one point I said, guys, they're saying now, again, you have to go with the black market prices of what their currency is to the US dollar, because that's what everybody is paying on the streets. And the black market price showed that if you had 1 ounce of silver, it would buy you at one time a month's worth of food. And then later on they were saying, now because of hyperinflation, it's now about 6 months of food. That's what they were saying. So back on this. Everything is so expensive. Perhaps the beans and rice are affordable, but still not cheap. And it's so hard to find food. Options are limited because of the price. You can only buy 1 or 2 items of pasta, rice, like I say, the less expensive food. And you have to wait in long lines at your own risk because there are a lot of fights in the store. Imagine tons of people wanting to buy the same product. This have been worse since perhaps about 5 years now because of scarcity. Malls and big stores. Now, I've also mentioned this before, and I'm about to throw Frank under the bus, but it's not. This is truth. You're not really throwing someone under the bus for this. Frank, my buddy, you know Frank the Tank. We eat lunch. We were almost going to do a video today at lunch. We just couldn't pull it off. Didn't have time. Whatever. You know, lunch with Frank and Joe, whatever. And Frank's telling me, you know, he's like, oh, I've got a procedure down. If I ever give my wife the call, I utter these special words to her. She's not going to question it. She's not going to say, are you sure? She's going to get in the car as fast as she can and get down to the store and buy the certain items we have, you know, the main stuff we have listed that we know we need to get. I said, Frank, you need that stuff now, the stuff that can last, canned goods if you're going to go that route, or get the freeze-dried and dehydrated stuff if you're going to go that route. Get it now, Frank, not later. Yeah, but it's just going to sit in my garage or whatever. I said, well, no, you don't want to sit in your garage. It needs to be in the air conditioning. It'll last longer in air conditioning. Even if it says it lasts 5 or 10 years, it still will last long if it needs to be air conditioned. Yeah, I just can't do that. Frank, when whatever you just heard or saw that day that prompted you to pick up the phone and call your wife and give her the special keywords, do you know how many other people are going to be thinking the same thing and may not be calling their wife to go to the store? They may be going to the store. And that's the other thing. I don't want to send my wife to the store just in case, even if we were fast on it and catch it and able to get there. Because if she's getting out of the store and people are rushing in the store, are they going to beat her up or take her stuff or whatever? They didn't have to beat my wife up. They could blow on her and she'd fall over. Which is why she needs to get her concealed carry permit here shortly, which she's going to. If we're going to the store, we're going to the store together, or I'm going by myself, and I got my concealed carry, and I'm taking a couple extra clips, magazines, just in case. If it's that chaotic. If I'm making that call, that's what's happening. I'm not making the call because I got my stuff here already. So I want everyone to think about that. What did this lady just say? To wait in long lines at your own risk because there are a lot of fights in the store. Imagine tons of other people wanting to buy the same product, even though you got there first. Well, I'm bigger than you. I'm going to take it from you. I got mouths to feed. So do I. That's why I'm here. Yeah, but I got more mouths, or I just want it more than you, and you're smaller, and I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to take it. And you can't shoot somebody. You really can't pull a gun out and shoot them for taking your food, right? That's still murder. You weren't defending yourself. She took your food. Big deal. Call the police. The police, they weren't even showing up. There's riots everywhere. There's panicking everywhere, right? In that kind of situation. Not to say that we'll see that, but how can we not say that? Well, how can we say that for certain when this is happening there, right? So you're not going to have to deal with that saying, I can't even shoot someone if I wanted to. Not that you probably would want to. If I take my stuff, this is like my livelihood. I got to get this for my kids, my family. To me, that's like a life or death situation. Yeah, but the law doesn't say that. And they may have you on tape, and when all the dust settles, they're going to come get you. Do you really want to deal with that? No. Get your freaking stuff now. You got some Bitcoin profits, some crypto profits? Get your freaking freeze-dried or, what do you call it, dehydrated foods. So malls and big stores are basically alone because there are places where colectivos used to attack with bombs. And there is a group of about 40 men in motorcycles that have been creating chaos in the whole city. Every day, they take the city, they have plenty of arms, and they just go through the city shooting buildings and housing, stealing from stores, people on the streets, batteries from cars, everything they want. The situation is far worse than we ever imagined. They kill people every day, and they are paying mercenaries from the government because no one does nothing. The government people is also killing innocents, kids, teenagers, the youth. We are panicking. We bought a land 3 years ago. I got pregnant and we decided to wait. The land is a safe zone, but is 5 hours from here. It's a very small town of maybe 11,000 people. I live in a city with about 3 million people, you know, the bigger city. At least for now, the town are peaceful, but there isn't electricity and there isn't an asphalt road, so this doesn't sound lovely for a thief that are now looking for the bigger fish to catch. According to our neighbors, the town is calm. Nothing has happened. We need to go as soon as possible. I am scared because what you say is also true. But in the city, there are no options, at least not now. What do you think we should do? I really appreciate what you recommend. I'm sorry for my bad English. I'm trying to write this while playing with my baby. Venezuelan houses are already bunkers, she says. Now this caught me off guard. I didn't know this. Venezuelan houses are already bunkers. This has been like this ever since I can remember. Perhaps 20 years. Every regular house is made like bunkers. Pure concrete from the bottom to the walls to everything. Every house also has 2 to 3 security doors, really big and heavy ones. And on top of that, we have fences and electric fences on top of big gates. And trust me, it's not enough to be safe, she said. The army has damaged gates and has entered to different houses looking for students or rebels. And also innocent people have died because they were sadly in the middle of the events. I don't doubt that country land might have problems too. But so far, cities are pure anarchy and madness. There are several groups creating chaos. The army, she lists the army as one of the groups causing chaos. The army, the mercenaries, and the thieves. And the rebels that want to kill Chavismo in politics and whatever on their way. A few days, they put a bomb into a propane gas distribution cargo, and it blew away. And this have been affecting every single thing. They steal cargo transporting food or gas or fuel, so there is not too much to do now. Communities in the city are not organized since they really need to find food and basic resources. So each individual is waiting in long lines to buy bread or medicine or whatever they need, and people don't want to organize. They don't see this could go like this for years. But it's already been years. It's been a few years and getting worse, right? So the average mindset, right? I assume that we got used to living in some sort of chaos and violence. Let's not band together. Screw it, every man for themselves. We're not going to do nothing. We accept our fate. We're going to go like good little sheep into this line while there's thieves, the army, the mercenaries, the chavistos. They're all dealing with the situation. And we're just going to stand in line and not get involved and not band together to try to fix anything. Let's let them just steal from us and kill us and rob us because we're not banding together. We're just letting them pick us off one by one. Like a school of fish and dolphin coming in and chomping them all away till they're all gone. The average sheeple mentality. There it is. That's how it's going to go down.